Okay, hi everybody, welcome back to MACS Chats. My name is Antea and I'm going to be hosting today for the first time ever, so hopefully it goes well. Today I'm joined by
Lola.
Jade.
It's Han Soo here again.
Very welcome, guys.
Han Soo, our honorary member.
Exactly. So today we'll be talking about media privacy, and like audience invasion and how that like relates to like parasocial relationships and like how basically as fans we think we deserve to know everything. So to start things off, I wanted to ask you guys, like, do you think we deserve media privacy as a whole? Like, do you think we deserve, like, we have the right to limit everything that we share and like not like people don't need to find out everything we do and like we want them to know and all that?
Yeah, of course.
Yes. Like a big question, but yes. But I don't think we have,
Yeah.
like, as in, like, Woolies, for example, because I have a rewards card. They, like, know all about me and then use it to, like, target me with their ads.
What is she buying?
Yeah, like, I think, like, we don't have it, but we do deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the resident, like, privacy nut here that uses no social media and doesn't speak to anyone online. So I think my answer is pretty predictable.
But do you think that's different for celebrities then? Because we obviously like, we're all human. We all do whatever we want online. But if we deserve it, do they deserve it?
I think it's. Well, do you want to
No,
share?
you go.
Okay. I think it's based on what they what image they have on social media, and especially what they choose to like put on social media as well. Because if you're used to seeing, like, let's say celebrity A, whoever it may be, if you're used to seeing that person like posting like, you know, stories every day, showing like their aspect of life every day, and you know something else pops up out of nowhere, then people might get a reaction out of that because they're so used to seeing every aspect of this. They might get pissed because, you know, well, they might be like, oh, why didn't they show this side of themselves rather than having, you know, stories posted every fucking day.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like it's like...
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah,
but
no, it's like depending on like what you're famous for. Like, because obviously if it's an influencer, then your like fans will be
hate that
used to it. Like, as in, just like that's how you got famous versus like a movie star. I think there's very different expectations of what people share on social media. But I still think like even if you are an influencer, you have the right to be like, I quit. I don't want to like, or even if it's not that extreme, you have the right to like cut back.
Yep.
But I think like, I don't know. I think like the paparazzi like used to be more invasive as well. Like that's not really like sharing your own stuff, but like, as if everyone's seen that like David Beckham like Netflix show, like the paparazzi used to be like relentless, like, and like that's just what they did.
I haven't seen it yet, but
like,
No, but they're like banging on the cars and like it's super,
Really?
like it's super common, especially with footballers. Like they'll come up like footballers isn't like football, not like like AFL.
it's
football.
not soccer, it's football.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, guys. No, but it's like in like I don't know if you guys seen it, but whenever there's a new player that's come into like a team and stuff, like people will crowd them, start banging on the cars and like. It's to the point where it gets violent. It starts shaking the cars. I remember seeing her like Beckham. I was like, oh, okay. Like this is maybe not the safest for anybody in this scenario.
especially when they had like the young kids as well in the car. Like it was not good. But yeah, so I think like the paparazzi maybe has gotten better. Like just from that documentary, like they interviewed the people who were like the main paparazzi where he was from or something. And like I think they were saying like back in those days, like they've changed what they can, like they wouldn't like do what they used to do now. But like I feel like now we, especially with influencers or like people who rose to fame through social media, audiences expect like to be able to see like every aspect of someone's lives, which I don't think like they shouldn't expect that. Like there's no right to, like you have the right to share as much as or as little as you want to.
Yeah, I think one of the main reasons that we don't have as much paparazzi is because celebrities now do their own kind of authentic content, which is like basically we don't have enough control over this. All right, we'll put out what people want, I guess, so we can at least manipulate it. But I guess the problem with that is when you have this like fake, constructed, authentic, like real life story, is that people start thinking it is real. And if they already have access to that, they think they have access to the rest of your real life, which is like the problem. I think a lot of influencers see that as like their content's like all really casual and authentic and like a day in my life. And then people go, oh, but why don't you want to share this about your life? And they go, well, the real life stuff is actually completely hidden. You just made it up.
So like one of the people that I like found, I was like, I think this would be a really interesting case study was Kate Middleton. So have you guys like heard of? Okay, you're looking at me confused. Han Soo.
Let me search her out real quick.
No one's heard it. Jade, have you heard about the Kate Middleton like whole debacle and everything?
I mean, I'm aware of who Kate Middleton
Okay,
is. Like,
so-
is there more?
The lore is so deep. Okay, so
Oh,
basically,
her? Okay,
so-
I know who she
yeah,
is.
the Princess of Wales.
Sorry. Don't. For the listeners out there, don't come at me because I'm bad with names.
Han Soo doesn't know what Duolingo is. I don't know if he knows who the British royal family is.
okay, so basically what happened with Kate Middleton, so she is obviously the Princess of Wales. Like that being said, like royal family, everybody kind of wants to know everything about them. What happened was she wasn't seen in the public eye for like 4 months, I think, something like 4 or 5 months, and people were going crazy. They're like, where is she? Like, did she get a BBL? Is she at the Willy Wonka experience in Glasgow? Is she like is she dating Pete Davidson? Like, people were making like edits
Davidson,
like
man.
edits of her and Pete Davidson and like her with a BBL and like all these things on Twitter going rampant. I was like, okay, this is insane. Like, people were saying that she was the Oompa Loompa at the Willy Wonka experience in
Rah,
Glasgow.
no,
like,
that's-
people were making
That's actually
absolute like
disrespectful.
like crazy things. And then she came out with an image for Mother's Day of her with her kids, right? And then everyone's like, oh, this is photoshopped. And she was like, yeah, well, like I dabble in it for fun. It's like, well, why did you photoshop this in the first place? You know, like
Also, I love the idea that the Princess of Wales is responsible for her
She did
own
her own
photos.
Photoshop.
She's sitting there with like her phone up against a stack of books on a timer, rushing back in to get the family pic. Like,
the people were like asking about that. And then like I think maybe a month later, she came out with this video that was basically her saying that she was diagnosed with cancer and she's going through some treatment. But it was that idea that like we obviously, because I think the royal family, especially in the UK, is like they're their own kind of celebrity. Like they're not the typical one like, you know, you say like Beckham or like anybody else for that matter. But we feel like we need to know everything about them. Like with like everything that happened with Prince Andrew, we always like we know what happened with everything that happened with King Charles. We know the same thing with the Queen. Do you think it was fair for everybody else to like come to these presumptions about her? Because people were so invested and were like, we need to know everything about the royal family. Let me make these jokes because I need to make sure that she's getting her BBL or not.
I think the thing about the
so toxic. Oh my god. Like, damn.
the thing about the royal family though specifically is if there is an example of people being entitled to know something, it is the publicly funded lifestyle of these people. Except Kate Middleton married into it, so that's an extra complication. I think what is crazy though is not like it. All the jokes that happened when she decided to take like a media hiatus, I don't think anybody has any control of. Unfortunately, like it's probably fucking bad, but like nobody's got really any control over that. What I think is weird is they still felt the need to release any photo at all. That like the expectations of like people of like we need access to these is what forced her to like do a photoshopped photo in the first place rather than just go, yeah, I'm not doing media at the moment, back off. There's still like the whole debacle was caused by even then people were like, well, we haven't had a photo. How do we know what she looks like? She must be so different from 3 months ago. Like,
That's true. The fact that the media team was like feeling enough pressure to release a photoshopped photo, like it's totally fine.
Yeah.
She could just be unwell or something. She shouldn't have had to be like revealed to like say that she has cancer before she was ready.
Yeah.
But like you don't need. Yeah, it's funny that they actually like succumbed to that pressure and released that photo.
the fact they couldn't go, yeah, she just had a cold, like chill, we're just not doing photos at the moment. Like,
Well, I get that they're, you know, they're like, I guess, considered celebrity as well. I guess like she's a celebrity as well. I get that they're there to kind of like serve people, especially like the public, but at the same time, like, give them some space, bro. Like, you don't need to know everything that's going on. Like,
And I think like it's the idea of a parasocial relationship with like the family. Like people straight up were like, I know everything about Kate Middleton. I know what's going on in her life. Like I can tell you. And I don't know. I think it's really interesting because it's like they're not even like the baseline like A-level celebrity. They're like money like different type. You know, like it came from such a different point that it's weird because I don't think we've ever seen anything so invasive for the royal family specifically that was like gotten so out of hand. Like at least not from what I can.
I think
feel like
Diana was the
Princess
same, though.
Diana,
no, like
Yeah.
Diana's like the papers in the UK every week still publish a new conspiracy theory about Diana. Like,
I know in my mind Diana is like in her own world. I'm like, you're the perfect queen. Like I don't even think of you as like part of the family.
yeah, but I think there is something to say that like Kate Middleton married into it. Diana obviously didn't, but like of the most approachable kind of royal member, like the queen is the queen.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever gonna meet the queen, but like those were the most human like representations. So you get a kind of side of people going, oh well, then we want to know more because they must actually have more relatable lives. And then you get people going, oh, they don't fit into the royal family, this like perfect paragon.
Meghan Markle.
Yeah. all the kind of the more human ones get the most stuff for being human.
That's so true. Because like I feel like maybe there's a perception in the public that like the people who are born into the royal family, like I feel like they don't cop as much shit as like Diana did. Definitely not. As Kate Middleton, as Meghan Markle. Like Kate Middleton didn't cop as much as like Meghan Markle did. But at the same time, like she's still like, I don't know. Would people notice if like Wills wasn't in the public eye for like, I don't know.
I think there is a thing about obviously like the gender lines as well, but
Yeah.
not to be too conspiracy theorist, but like
Sorry,
the royal
just
family.
checking who Megan was.
He was like, it's the actor. The actor. Like, yes, suits.
Sorry, guys.
No, but like obviously the actual royal family, like the ones with like I guess a claim to the throne, have incredible like money and power. So in terms of like manipulating the press, they can just go like, no, you won't publish that, and they have, and it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And I think there's a little bit of being slightly thrown to the wolves of like, well, if like the kind of outer royal family get the most press, the rest of us don't have to deal with it, so throw them away. And they don't have access to the same like media power, you know. Nobody's gonna go, oh, the queen hasn't been around for a while, what's she doing, is she the like nobody would have done that because they have insane media power.
Yeah.
It doesn't get extended to the rest of them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You good? You're like thinking deep.
Yeah, I'm just having a thought because to be fair, I think you guys, compared to myself, obviously, compared to, you know, because I genuinely had no idea about this, right? So, you know, I was just like thinking like what grabbed like your attention, because especially this is like the royal family, right? So if it was just some other celebrity, I'd get it. But, you know.
I don't know how it was for you, Lola, but for me, it was because I was on doing my daily Twitter, like scroll at like midnight. I was like, oh, let's see what they're talking about. And you had the Willy Wonka experience in Glasgow going like viral. You had the bots pussy and bio meme going viral. And then you had like people, do you not know the...
I don't know what that, no,
What is
I don't know
this?
what that is either.
Okay.
But I'm just like, do you know what the Willy Wonka thing is? No.
No.
Yeah. We're gonna have to
Really?
explain
Okay,
all this
so-
for our listeners, but also
Okay, so the
fans.
Willy Wonka
Sorry,
experience in
guys.
Glasgow basically was, oh god, it's actually so horrendous. Basically, it was after the Wonka movie came out. They were trying to do this whole like Willy Wonka, like literally Willy Wonka experience, Wonka movie like with Timothy Chalamet.
They made a new...
All right, Han Soo.
I've
So
been
a
How
movie.
far
living
back do we have
under a
to
rock.
go?
Sorry,
Charlie and
guys.
the Chocolate Factory.
All right, Han Soo.
Sorry.
So like a movie is like
I
a
was like,
picture
Johnny
and then
Depp?
another
Like-
picture.
That was like days
Okay,
ago.
so you know the Johnny Depp one. Okay.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
They made a remake.
A musical remake with Timothy Chalamet.
Sorry,
Yeah.
a musical remake prequel.
So if you've
Oh, it's a prequel
I
now?
didn't even know
Oh,
that.
Jesus. Okay, yeah.
yeah, so there's that, and then basically they wanted to create the experience of it. I don't know, but it has nothing to do with like affiliation with like the actual studios. Like this random guy made it using a chat like AI ChatGPT like script.
Yeah.
For some reason they added like other characters. So there's only one Willy Wonka, one Oompa Loompa in the entire like factory. It's in a warehouse in the middle of Glasgow, like nothing really there. And then there's somebody called the Unknown, which is just like some other character that ChatGPT made up basically. And the whole plot is the whole reason why I got so famous was because someone posted a photo of the Oompa Loompa standing at a desk, hair disheveled, like it's like, you know when like an explosion kind of poofs up and you get like black stains on your face.
Yeah.
Like that was the like photo that came up, and it was just her looking like scared. She got so famous that she got put onto the BBC, like BBC morning show, like in the UK, like they were like, meet the Oompa Loompa from the Willy Wonka factory. Like all
Damn, they
these
put her
things.
on blast.
Because people took their families to this, like it was meant to be like a really high end like Willy Wonka experience, and it was like in a warehouse with like they all got a third of a cup of like soda and like 4 jelly beans. Like it was like such big promises. It was so expensive, and there was like it was like so cheap.
If you search up photos of it, it is genuinely the most disappointing thing you've ever seen.
So like the
I'm
Oompa
gonna do that
Loompa was
right
just
now.
some poor like acting like graduate that was just getting any work.
Yeah, and
Just
she
was
said
trying
like
her
I was
best.
not getting paid enough, like all this.
Oh
Like,
no,
she
they
was
were fully like we're not getting paid. Like
they didn't get paid. Oh my god.
I'm searching it up now. Yeah, like Willy Wonka's Chocolate Experience, Good Morning Britain, Oompa Loompa actors speak, like shambles. Like the photo is genuinely, she looks like distressed.
This is it.
Yeah, that's it. So like that's the whole
Damn.
like vibe. So that's like one thing. So people were like being like, oh, like she's actually the Oompa Loompa at the factory. People were like, Kate Middleton was that. At the same time, you have Madame Web just came out. So everyone's like, oh, like her web connects them all, and like
That's
Basically-
another movie.
What? Maybe I'm the wrong guest for this episode, guys.
it's like it's basically
just
like
another movie.
people were taking like so many different dumb things going on at the time. So like Madame Web, this whole experience. Like, did you guys see like the old the old style, like they make what's it called, like the soda shop that makes Coke the old fashioned way.
yeah,
was, like-
I actually did know
yeah.
what you're talking about.
So
Yeah,
that's like another meme that got famous. And then there was also like the Taylor Swift experience of that girl crying hysterically because the song saved her life, and everybody, and everybody like it's this girl like crying because Taylor Swift played the song that saved her life, but she's like hysterically crying with her two best friends holding her, like side eyeing her. being
Okay,
like,
that I actually know. It was out. It's like outside the stadium
He knows
as
this
well.
one doesn't
Like,
know
she's not
Duolingo.
even there. Like, yeah, that I know. Okay, yeah, that I've seen.
So you have all of those things, and then Pussy in Bio is basically. Have you guys seen like the bots on Twitter? So like basically,
I don't use Twitter.
Yeah,
okay,
neither.
so for context, if you post anything on Twitter, whatever, like you have like a post, everyone sees it. If it gains traction, or even like maybe like 100 views, a bot will appear and like as a response, it'll post like a really like rude, like lewd photo of themselves, like, you know, like obviously they're trying to get people to like subscribe to their OnlyFans and all these things, and it'll just be like pussy in bio or like link in bio, and it's just for the people to like, for people online to be like, oh, I can go subscribe to this. So it became this trend where you'd be like, oh, pussy in bio, and people should be like, what? And so you have this
Okay,
poster.
now I get it.
So you have this whole poster where it's like it's the Madame Web poster, and every corner you have something new, and at the bottom, instead of being like coming to theaters near you, it says pussy in bio, and that's the whole. And it has like pussy in bio, but every space is like that gray like scrape like filter, not filter, like emoji, but it's like when you don't update your phone, so you have that old like that little square. Like it's so niche. Like if you guys have the time to like search it up, it is genuinely the most intense thing I've ever seen, because it like rocked my world. And that's what got me into it, is because I saw all of these different memes being put into one. I was like, oh my god, this is so good. Like all of these like incredible niches that are getting put into my
Invest
head.
the time in this. Like I'd be off my phone in 5 minutes. Like
if you would ever like to know what it's going to be like to be a historian in like 100 years,
And you see like,
oh my god, is that the movie? Like
yeah, it's Madame Web. That's Dakota. Like, I think Dakota Fanning, Dakota Johnson.
Dakota Johnson, yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea what her name is. But so you have all of those things, and it's like that's what gained the traction. That's why some people got so invested, because you have so many different things going on, like TikTok memes, like Twitter memes, just a bad movie, like all of these things going on.
was
and
it a
you're
bad
like,
movie? Okay,
oh,
never mind.
yeah, dude, guys, I watched it in theaters.
Was it bad? I look, he was like, maybe I'll go see it.
I after I was like, it was so bad. I need to watch it.
Wait, is it a
Luckily-
Marvel movie?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why. Okay.
no, but it's like the worst Marvel movie,
Yeah.
which is saying so much.
Like, you think like, I don't know, the Guardians of the Galaxy or Thor Ragnarok was bad? No, this was like something else. That was.
I mean, honestly, pulling this absolute like this history that you've laid out for us back to the topic.
yeah. Please do.
Sorry, yeah. it's
Speaking of
because I didn't
privacy,
know.
did you see that? Oh God, what's his name? The dude that plays Thor, Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
I want to get my Chris's right. He like came out and said it was his fault that like the movie was bad, which is like mental because it's not. But I think that actually is an interesting thing of like the whole privacy of people want accountability for like bad things and will go to celebrities that have a tiny part of anything and go, was it your fault?
Wait, why did he say it was his fault?
Because he was like, oh, I really just got lost in the character and I lost the tone. And
Because I think he was producing it or something like that.
he was just like, oh
He's a
yeah,
part of the movie.
I was too interested in being funny. I lost the tone. That's the heart of the. And you're like, bro, you didn't direct, produce, or write it. Like,
Wait, is this Thor? Or-
yeah,
Oh,
it was
okay.
bad, and he came out recently going, it was my fault, guys. And you're like, nobody thinks it is, and also, who cares? Like,
Oh, that's like nice.
but it is nice, but it's like. No, people are expecting somebody takes accountability for like the bad movie instead of just going, yeah, look, we all worked hard and it was bad. People are like, somebody has to take credit.
That's true. I think it is interesting to know why. But yeah, people do have, I think, because of like how casual media is now, like they feel like they can ask questions like that when maybe like obviously back in the day when like it was just traditional media, you wouldn't be able to find out why a movie was bad unless they did like an official like statement or like
Like a
post in
release
the
of it,
newspaper or something like that.
Or it was genuinely so bad that like documentaries were made about films about like how bad they were.
Don't do this again. Yeah.
So like that's what, so like that's in the celebrity aspect because like there are so many different like things that fall into it. But we were talking about influencers earlier, and talking about like people who have like that social media presence. So do you guys know the like the 50-part series Who the Fuck Did I Marry?
Yeah.
Han Soo looks.
Han
What the
Soo
fuck is this?
Han Soo is going to be our guest stand-in today, who has to get everything explained to him.
I think I'll just stay quiet for this one, you know?
Okay, so for people who also don't know, Who the Fuck Did I Marry is basically like, I think it's like a 57-part TikTok series. It spans over like 6 or 7 hours long.
So it's a TikTok series.
So it's this woman.
It's not a show?
Yeah, like it's someone's like story time, but it goes over like
Oh, like
57
somebody
parts.
ranting about like...
Yeah.
So there's like so many parts. So if you search up Who the Fuck
So
Did I
if you
Marry,
have
it
a
comes
free
up.
7 hours.
So it's basically this woman like posting, and she just started off. She was like, "Part 1 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry?" And she basically just explains like the entire lore of this man that she married, who turns out to be like nothing that like she ever expected to be. Like different person, different life, like completely like 180 on her. And everyone got really, really influenced to the point where like articles on like the New York Times and the Washington Post and like big like conglomerates were like writing about her. But it's that idea that she gave us everything, and yet we still wanted more. We still wanted to know everything that happened in her life after. But this is just some random woman who decided to post on TikTok. Like this is someone's mother probably being like, "Who the fuck did I marry?" Like just spreading her information around, and yet we were like, "We need more. We need to know everything about them. What's his name?" And like people went off to find who this guy is and like his personal life and all these things. But it's that idea that she's just a normal woman just like us, but she put her life out there for other people to see.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, is that fair? Is it okay for us to be doing that? Like, are we allowed to be doing that? Should we be allowed to do that? Like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
Let me just say one thing. I think people have too much time on their hands. Like, I'm not joking when I say this. The fact that, what was it, BBC News and like the big news
Like
agencies
the New York
covered
Times,
this.
yeah. Like
I think they have too much time on their hands too, because
if you just go to
why are you
Google
writing about
and
this
you
shit?
write "Who the fuck,"
They got
it
quotas
comes
to
up.
fill.
At the same time, that's what people want to read about, though. Like that's why they're writing those stories.
I guess that if you want views, like, yeah, go get them.
Yeah,
but
it's why if you look at any news site now, it just looks like a social media feed. Like
Oh my God,
it is just, it's just like repackaged reels so boomers could read them. Like,
Yeah. And you even see like ABC.
Yeah,
even, like,
ABC
post, like,
really did it.
fluff piece, and then people in the comments are like, "What happened to the ABC?" But it's like this is what they like trying to cater to a broader audience, like, and people want that. Like they're trying to cater to like the audience that wants like pedestrian TV, like those style articles that are like just pop culture. And then like, but yeah, I think that would be why.
it's funny you say it because I just imagine like like news channels on television just covering shit on TikTok. I just imagine
Literally,
that.
that's
I was
what
like-
happens.
That happened?
Yeah, totally.
Because then like
That
boomers,
happens,
like
right
boomers
now.
learn about it and they're like, oh,
Yeah, like it used to be like
Maybe
a
I
little
should
segment.
Stick to television.
It used to be like a little segment at the end. It'd be like, oh, and now a cute thing, and it'd be like a real like fluff piece local story, and that got replaced by like somebody's social media post or some cute dog video someone posted, and then it's become more and more of the news is just like people are talking about, and it will be the stupidest shit. But since people are talking about it, apparently it's newsworthy.
I need to catch up on a lot of
I don't know
things.
if you guys. I'm searching it up right now, but there's this there's this guy from Sydney. Are you guys on TikTok a lot or not?
no.
I mean, can we all
Can you
take a
tell?
guess about Han Soo?
Okay, so I am on quite a bit, which is probably unhealthy about it. But he like all he does is take videos of himself. You know the song "Foreigner" by Pop Smoke?
No.
Okay. oh God, it goes like, foreigner, hey, foreign. Like, that's the entire audio that he uses. And he goes around Sydney either asking people to film him or like filming himself or like doing random trends with people. And it's just him like acting as a cat being like, foreigner, hey. And he just posts that and he gets like millions of views or millions of likes. Like, he got really famous about it. And then he came to like Melbourne and did all these things. And all he does is post him like acting like a cat on like the ground or like a tiger. Like, he's just like, rawr, like all he does. But he's gotten so many views that like people have done like collabs with him and people have done that. But it's like this idea that we don't even know who this guy is. He's giving us nothing and yet we love it and we're indulging in that. But this woman who like, like other people who've like talked about their entire lives, who that's their whole like premise, stuff like that. Like, I think the double standard that we present in society, especially on media, like digital media, is like very, very intense. Because like, why do we let some things go when other things?
Well, I think it's the expectations people set, and I don't think you're getting the same audience act differently with different expectations. It's when you set the expectation of what your content's going to be, you'll get a different audience. If you talk about your life, you're going to get an audience that's what they want. And the unfortunate thing about people's lives is there's probably always more you can know about it. Whereas if you get an audience like doing it, let's say it nicely, performance art, then you're going to get people that are like, oh, well, this is just what he does. There is no more to this, you know? It's just like, if you do comedy skits on like TikTok, people just go, oh, well, that was a funny video.
Yeah.
If you do lifestyle content, people want to know more about your life.
That's true. Like, if you got famous off telling a story about your personal life, I understand why people want to know more versus like, if you've made yourself, like, you need to know nothing about that guy's life to enjoy his videos.
I mean, this isn't like a TikTok thing though. Go back to like old YouTube of like people in their bedrooms, like building whole careers that have just like, oh, this like bad dating stories and things like that. Or modern YouTubers like, oh, makeup tutorial, but it's really them talking about like something that happened.
Like Tana Mojo's S-Type, where she's like ranting about some random guy that like came up to her.
Yeah, but those ones, even all the way back at like the start of YouTube, like literally decades ago now, people really quickly worked out of, oh, this is not sustainable and people are not okay. Like, people have a really weird relationship with me.
Yeah.
Especially people that like had relationships, or YouTubers that had relationships between like other YouTubers, that would go like, oh, we need to know everything about not just both of your lives, but this relationship.
Or like whether there's a relationship as
Yeah.
well. When it was like ambiguous, people were like, I wonder if
Oh yeah,
They're dating.
Dan and Phil. Honestly, throwback. Please watch our other episode where we talked about Dan and Phil for ages.
And also, I think this is coming just focusing on the audience part as well, especially like social media now. I think anything goes at this point, because I believe that like on social media, as a consumer, you can create your own image, especially when you're like engaging in like putting in comments, liking people's shit and stuff like that, right? So because there is that kind of alleyway of like consumers being able to kind of freely express themselves, I think that's why they want to get involved in like the urge to get involved in everything, like I guess like trying to stay relevant is what kind of gets them to comment anything, because bringing it back to like what I just said, anything goes on social media, and obviously you can fight about it like through comments, but in real life nobody's gonna like come at you and like, you know, stab you for what you said.
Well,
it may happen, but you like the likeliness of happening.
Much more limit. Okay, so I want to throw it back a little bit. Do you guys remember Lil Tay?
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
The Asian girl?
Yeah.
Oh my god, Han Soo knows.
Oh my god, you have to explain it to him. Okay, so for people who don't know, Lil Tay was a little rapper. Literally, she was like 8 and she was a rapper and she had all this like money and she was like, I got bands and like, I don't know, it was crazy. Like,
Hey, you remind me of.
whoa, no. But so she was like doing all these things, and people like she obviously, I think back in like 2016, 2018, it was very, very different. People weren't as engaged, and I think that was a big thing due to the pandemic, like people getting more involved and stuff. But she was just living her life. Like, she was making money, being like, look at this fancy car I have, like, look at all this money I have, like, whatever. And people got really invested because they were like, why is this 9-year-old rapping about money and like having bands and having hoes and like all this random things? Because this is like insane. And people started getting really involved in her fans, and they found out that I think she was being like forced to do it or abused to do it by her mom and her brother, and like it was basically like it's the same kind of scenario like the Disney stars when they were younger, like their parents forcing them into doing this work. And then she faked her death. A couple of years ago.
I heard about that. Yeah,
a couple of years ago, she faked her death. Like I think her brother posted.
The brother as well.
Yeah, the brother posted that, like, or the mother posted like, "Oh, Lil Tay has passed away." Blah blah blah. Like we're really sorry. And everybody was like, "What the fuck?" Like Lil Tay died. Like, dude, like my childhood was rude. I was like, no, like Lil Tay, you can't be gone. Like this is literally gone too soon. And then she came back.
Yeah, and then she made a comeback.
And she made a comeback,
right? Yeah.
and now she's having beef with JoJo Siwa, and it's like this whole other thing. But it's this entire like idea that like we were so invested and we found out that she was being abused and like harassed by her family, and then she faked her death, and it was just left like that. No one ever knew what happened, and no one ever, like, now no one has prompted her or gotten her to talk about why her death was faked or what was happened. And I think it's really it's really interesting because it's like this is something so similar we could talk about, like Kate Middleton's disappearance. And yet we just left Lil Tay to be like, okay, it's fine. Like, you can pick your death. It's fine, queen. Like, we believe you. Like, we love you. Like, you're so perfect in every other way.
I mean, in that situation where it's like, obviously someone's... Because there's no 8-year-old that's really cognitively aware of, like, what a media career will actually do to you. That is something, like, they're forced to do, right? Like, I think the more interesting question is, like, why did... If this... Instead of going, oh, she's quit, like, being in the spotlight... Why position that as being faking your death? Like, what decision was that from like the parents' perspective? Because that's basically who's in charge. And then why was it like coming back? Like if it was just we're getting too much, like we're bailing out of this, that would make sense. But it's once you come back, it seems part of like just the narrative, the media story, and then you're like, you faked a 9-year-old's death for basically clout so you could do a comeback? That's really really weird.
Did she get abused? Because at this point, I don't think anything's true anymore.
I'm reading it now. I found an article talking about her family. So it says half brother moved to LA in 2018 to start like their career, whatever. Allegations that Lil Tay's father, Chris Hope, abused her appeared on her Instagram. Hope, like the father, denied the claims and sent Instagram a cease and desist letter. There's no mentions of abuse allegations in the available Vancouver court records for a long-time custody battle between the parents. Jason, the brother, raised more than $17,000 on GoFundMe on the basis of his claim that Hope, the father, did abuse Lil Tay. So it's ideas that maybe they did, maybe they didn't, and we don't like. It's still kind of like in the air, because a lot of the, like, because I think the brother who was in charge of it, and I think was the one primarily supporting Tay and like helping her, I believe is still, and like still is included, like they still work together with those things. I believe that he is correct in that sense because he's the one who is like talking about like all these things, and the father is one obviously saying like he denies the claims and all these things, but there is nothing that's like set in stone or has been like clearly identified of like all these things.
I don't think there's a world in which making like an 8-year-old work isn't probably like exploitative.
Yeah.
Whether it's like meets a legal definition or not, it's definitely not comfy. Like
yeah. It's interesting that like the choice to fake her death though, because I feel like maybe because that's so extreme is why people didn't question it. Like they're like, if whatever was happening was so bad that she or the family felt the need to fake her death to get away from it, like maybe we should back off. Like kind of similar to the Kate Middleton thing, like when everyone found out she had cancer, they took the biggest step back. Like there was so many jokes being made about it, and I think everyone collectively felt really bad about making those jokes. Which like if you look at the situation, like was the most plausible explanation all along, that she's sick. Like, let's be real.
Yeah.
I don't know. But then, like, the jokes being made were, like, so out there. And, like, it's not really about Kate Middleton. Like, it's just people having fun. But I think people, like, felt really bad for, like, making that joke off the back of her. And, like, just making so many assumptions and, like, assuming that they have the right to, like, delve into her personal life.
I mean, I think... I wouldn't be so kind. I think a lot of the reason that people like don't look back is like they got the content they want back. You know, like if it goes away and then there's an extreme step, I understand like stepping back in that context. But once she comes back, I think the reason people don't look too hard is because it isn't an actual investment. They're not really interested in the story. It's just part of being in the fan community and following like the media content they like. It's just part of that like experience. So once it's a different story, it's now the comeback story. That's just no longer relevant, and they get what they want. They get their like, I don't want to say idol, but they get the thing, the content they want back, so they don't really care.
That's a good point. And I think, I actually see that because people do that with companies. Like when a company is like in the news for like doing something dodgy, sure, like they're usually like vilified for a while, but then like after like 2 years, people start buying that brand again. Like they're just like, whatever, like there's too much to care about, there's too much news. And I feel like, it's the same with people, like people that get cancelled as well. Like people eventually come back because they're like, oh yeah, you were cancelled, like, but or like they get new fans, you know what I mean? Like they didn't know the original story.
It's like the same with like Logan Paul.
Yeah,
like
what?
Like now he has Prime, he's getting married, he's having a baby. Like man is doing everything with his life, and it's like you literally were horrible. Like you are a horrible person for doing that, and yet you have people who are like part of the low gang. Like
and it's like new. I guess like there's original fans that like didn't ever care about like what happened, but then also like he has a whole new fan base because he's linking up with like the UK YouTubers
with,
now,
like,
and like
Sidemen and KSI and all these, and like Beta Squad and all these people.
And then have like those fans coming across who don't know like about his history, and then they're just like, oh yeah, whatever.
Well, then do you think like this is like a question for you guys? Do you think people actually like care like when they see stuff like this? Because I brought this up like in an earlier episode this season where it was like because there's so much stuff happening. Yeah, people take participation in like commenting and like, you know, actually like, well, I guess in my case, like acting like they care. But because the very next big thing happens, they just move on to the next. So do you think people actually care about what they actually say in the comments? And like, because for me, I look into, well, not that I ever comment on anything. I actually like consider like, you know, how, you know, kind of
digital footprint, like your digital footprint, and how
I guess so, because like, you know, it may affect people like, you know,
how it will make someone feel.
Yeah.
It's just a good thing to think.
It's a good
people should think that. Yeah, people should think that.
That's why I don't know any of these things that you guys brought up. So, you know, like, what do you guys think? Do you think people actually care? Did they not care? Like,
I mean, I think people care up until the point of it's just like the game, right? Like, instead of going, oh, I'm going to go like watch a movie or that, it's like, I'm going to go doom scroll for half an hour and start shit on Twitter. Like that is part of the game, the thing, what you're doing. It is part of like the pleasure you get from it. It's not an actual investment. Like I think if something, any person that comments like, oh my God, I'm really interested in the Jojo Siwa and Lil Tay beef, if they were like, if some like their parents called and went, oh, we're sick, you need to move, they wouldn't keep caring. Like if something actual happened in their life, that would take precedent. It's not an actual investment.
I think it's become very passive as well. Like I only consumed all of this purely because I was super passive in it. I was like, oh my God, like I would like tweets or like posts, but I would never like, I think people who sounds bad, but I think people who post like on like meme accounts or like who run those meme accounts, stuff like that, I would exclude Twitter because I think Twitter in itself is its own category. But like on Instagram, you know, like meme bros or like funny pages, like all those like funny videos and stuff like that. I think they're only doing these things in order to maintain their living, if they make a living off of that, or if they're just trying to create like traction and those type of things, which in some ways are good. But I think people who comment and people who perpetuate that standard, people who perpetuate that idea, or like, have you seen on TikTok people being like, oh, post this to Reels, bro, like post this to Reels, like wait till Reels see this, because it's basically that Reels is more ruthless than TikTok comments. And that's the whole idea, which is why like they're like, oh, post this to Reels, and then someone will say like something like really messed up. Like I know somebody personally who comments on Instagram Reels horrible things, and I'm like, you are a messed up person for doing this. Like I don't talk to them, I don't interact with them at all, but it's like, do you not have shame? And I think that's a big thing that people forget, is that the internet is like, it may not feel real, but it is real to an extent. Like people can find things that you do, and like obviously like liking stuff is one thing, and it's like, okay, like yeah, I mean, I should probably go through like my Twitter likes and maybe unlike some things, because you know I don't want it to be like stuck there. But at the end of the day, like if you find enjoyment in the moment, people will do anything to get that little like hint of dopamine, because our dopamine receptors are so far gone. Like at this point, like none of us can control how we feel, because we're just like, we just need to feel happy. Like nothing is good in life.
I mean, that's what social media is though. Like whether it's posting or just doom scrolling, or you choose to do it through comments, like it's just like little dopamine. That's the whole like engagement process. So there is a level of, I don't know, like platform responsibility of like, well, you design a system that what people want is the dopamine from being horrible or seeing horrible things or perpetuating or just watching it. Like there is a level, I don't want to say like, oh, everybody that comments horrible shit on TikTok is actually a victim of the system, but like they are, like there is a level where that is what these platforms are kind of built around at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And once you go on there and you see other people doing it and you see that the system's built for it, then it's really easy for someone to go, well, why don't I start? You know?
Yeah, and I think especially with reels, like people, it's like a competition almost to like comment like the funniest or like most outrageous or sometimes the meanest thing.
Yeah, there's a real
to get likes, but like
yeah, a lot of fandoms and stuff have a real like competitive element, and like.
It's like the K-pop stars.
Yeah.
Like they need to make sure they have the best video and fan cam, or else like they won't get recognized. Like,
Yeah.
it's so intense.
Oh, it's like your credibility within the group is like, do you know the most stuff about like Kate Middleton? Which means you've always got to know more. Which means you end up being one of the person going, tell us more.
Yeah, I'm that person.
Yeah, because if they tell you more, you might know more than somebody else now. So
and then
like
I can educate
it matters.
all of you guys about it, and
Yeah.
you guys can go and spread the word.
Yeah,
Which is like not great in itself, but I don't know. I think to wrap things up, where should we draw the line? Like, where should we? Because I don't like. I was talking about this yesterday in class. Actually, like we're talking about privacy this week, and there is no guidelines in Australia to talk about like what is privacy. Like, do we have digital privacy just for ourselves, but also like generally? Like, there is nothing that stops the government from like letting everybody take our stuff, like taking all our cookies and mining all our data and stuff like that.
Australia has like some of the worst privacy laws in the developed world. Like truly dreadful.
So it's like we can't do anything about like the government right now. Like, but personally, like, what do you think as people like we can do to draw the line of like media privacy and like preventing ourselves? Because like for me at least, a big thing I remind myself is like social media is like not real at the end of the day. Like unless it's the people that I know. Like I follow like influencers and like little crowds, stuff like that. And like unless it has to do with like news or my friends, nothing else that I view is real, because these are people either could be lying to me, could be making a joke. Like I just remember to remove myself from it, because like if I engage with it too much, I will go and say like if I actually like deep the Kate Middleton things and like fully went into it, I would have got insane. Like you would not see me today.
You sure not a little insane?
Hey, maybe a little bit, but like I would have gone off the walls. Like you would not be able to be like, Ente, like what is going on?
That's how people end up as like the proper conspiracy nuts. But I think going it's not real at the end of the day also doesn't help all the time, because that's sometimes the same excuse people use to do horrible stuff.
Yeah.
Of like, if anything, we need to have maybe more attachment, and if more attachment means we just have less time to like, it would probably be, yes, if you went all the way down to Kate Middleton, you'd go insane. But if it was like you went all the way down on one thing, like I don't know, whatever your hobbies are, versus trying to be in everything that's happening all the time simultaneously. Like, oh, I need to know what Madam Web, well, basically what Han Soo had to go through today. I need to know the Wonk experience. I need to know Kate Middleton. I need to know Madam Web. I need to know all of this to get this one joke. If we were all just like, oh, treat it as real, and if that means you have to only pay attention to a little bit instead of passively everything, that might actually be a little better.
Yeah.
Like you actually have to choose what you're interested in instead of just getting vast amounts thrown at you and seeing what happens.
I also feel like asking yourself, like, would I ask this of my friend? Like, or maybe not even friend, like acquaintance, because like these are real people. And I think like influencers, celebrities have the right to like set how much they're comfortable sharing. Like some are comfortable with sharing like way too much, like I don't want to know, like Jojo Siwa, Trisha Paytas. I'm like, why are you sharing this with me? But then like some people, like rightfully so, like they don't want, like for example, like pictures of their kids, or like they don't want like their relationship to be in social media at all, really. I think like people have the right to do that, but then you as like a consumer or like as a fan, if they haven't like made their limit clear, then like just thinking about it as real life, like as like, if it was my acquaintance, like, would I feel like a right to know this information about them? Or like, would I ask it like this? Would I say it like this if you're a commenter, which like I don't comment on stuff either. But
like,
yeah.
I think that's great. And I think bringing up the kids is where people are going to start actually having to think a lot more about like, oh, how do I interact online? What do I post? What do I comment? What do I see? When they have to they have their own children and have to see what they have to post. Because like,
That's a good point.
it's crazy to me that people will go to celebrities and go like, we haven't seen your kids in a while. Like, could you imagine doing that to someone on the street? Like,
Even like your friend though, like I wouldn't comment on like my friend's Instagram, like, where's your daughter?
yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, let
Where's
me
your
comment.
cat?
Yeah,
Where's
can I see a
cat?
picture of your child? Like,
Yeah.
outside maybe like the kid has just been born. I think that's social suicide. But we're kind of like not okay with it. But people just do it online.
Yeah, that is wild.
Like people commenting about, and like I think it's even funnier. Like, did you see? I'm gonna keep going with Sam. I'm so sorry. I'll try and grab this up quickly. But it's like Ben Affleck and I think forgot what her name was, the one from 13 going on 13, Jennifer Gardner. I think they were married and their child just came out, I believe, as trans. I don't know what they identify as at the moment, so I'm not gonna presume anything. But it's like people had to know everything about this child who just came out and like expressed their gender identity and all these things, and yet us as the audience were like, oh, why are they doing this? It's like, why don't we just let this person be, and why don't we let that person live their life, and why do we care? And I think it's just like, and people are commenting and asking like, are you okay with your child coming out? It's like, what? Like, are you okay? Like, I don't know.
I think it is interesting that people are like collateral damage by being close enough to people that are celebrities.
Exactly.
There's a lot of like, we talked about like social media and like expectations and I guess normalization, though I hate the word. But if you have the right relationship of like, oh, but it's Ben Affleck and he's a celebrity, not a human being, so I get to ask these questions. If then he comes into contact with someone that's not a celebrity in any way, or it's like his actual human life, not his celebrity like persona, it's close enough that people don't see the distinction and go, well, it just must be more celebrity news, not somebody's actual personal life.
Yeah.
They come into contact and you just go, oh, I guess you're a celebrity now.
Like, I can know everything about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Han Soo, how about you? As someone who's off the internet, as someone who doesn't know.
I'm not off the internet. It's just, I guess, different interests.
Han Soo is going to once again recommend making your social media unlivable so you don't spend any time on it.
No, just I don't know. Just after just listening to what you guys were talking about just now, like for the past 5 minutes, I think all I can say is for those who, well, not for those. Let's just not target people. I'd say if you don't really, especially when it comes to what Lola said, like, you know, asking about their privacy and like just commenting stuff like that. If you really don't have anything nice to say, just keep it to yourself. Like, genuinely, either just, you know, stress yourself out with it or just just think about it one more time, you know, because just invest like the amount of times you comment and like, you know, follow celebrities into yourself, like make yourself interesting, I'd say. Like,
touch grass.
like,
Go outside,
please.
breathe some air.
Yes.
I mean, there is a level there of like, you know, if the dopamine you have to get from commenting horrible things online, I don't know, get a different hobby. Like,
Wait. I just want to clear this out. Mind you, I spend plenty of time on social media, right? It's just, I think I'm at a point where it's like, I'm at a point where it's a healthy amount of social media.
Yeah, I definitely spend an unhealthy amount on it, like a little.
So, you know,
but-
and it depends on people as well. Like that, you know, word healthy.
Oh no, I'm on it. Like,
It depends on people, like, you know, what you value and what you don't value. But like I said, just go to the gym, like, you know, like meet some people, you know, like
talk to the possum. Like, go to Clayton. Talk to the
exactly,
possum.
like, you know, talk to the possum, ask him how he is.
Give him some KFC. Like,
Exactly, ask him for a cookie.
the next time you feel the need to get in some like beef online with someone on Twitter, just like go call your mom. Like,
Genuinely, I'd
spend your
rather talk about it with my
time
mom.
more productively.
Like,
You know.
so true. Okay. Well, thank you guys for joining today. Thank you guys for listening. If you guys want to be on the MACS Chats podcast again, you can check out our Google form in the description, I believe, or keep an eye out on the Instagram story. So that means go follow MACS on Instagram, guys. Like,
At
go and do
Monash MACS.
yes, sir.
that. So thank you, Lola, Jade, and Han Soo for joining me today. I am Antea. I was not. I am Antea. And thank you guys for listening. Bye.
Bye.